The world's been pretty crazy lately, hasn't it? For a while, a goodly while now. And probably actually for a really long while. It's just that as a collective humanity, we've been not aware of it. So it's not that things are getting crazier. It's not that things are getting darker. It's actually that we, the masses, are becoming more aware of stuff, not completely aware of stuff. You've got to remember that they are choosing what they reveal and show selectively. So if what we are seeing, what we are bearing witness to is the stuff that they feel like they can show us and get away with, then what else is going on, right? But it's not that things are getting crazier. Again, it's that we are becoming more aware of what's going on. So that's actually a sign that our consciousness and our awareness as a collective humanity is expanding. Now our job is to make sure that we don't go into fear, and also that we don't start dismissing this stuff. Because when you're exposed to a lot of intense or horrifying things all at once, it can desensitize you. So where before this was considered horrific and this was considered acceptable, if you're exposed to this much and your bandwidth is expanded suddenly and extremely, then it can be very easy for the off-the-charts horrifying stuff to become just as horrifying as the things that horrified you before. So it's like your baseline increases. So what was once horrifying, you can put up with and you consider to be, I guess, somewhat more acceptable, tolerable, or normal. We've got to remember that just because something is widespread and normalized doesn't mean that it's healthy. And we've got to find a way to remain sensitized so that our conscience doesn't become corrupt or dampened through increased exposure to horrors. So we've got to find a way to keep our conscience intact so we are fully aware of what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable, and we don't move our baseline of what is acceptable up here to compensate and make allowances for the horrifying things that are being exposed right now. So we've got to be really clear about where we stand, what is okay, what kind of humanity are we working towards creating, what will we accept, without completely losing our minds. So we've got to find a way to expand our consciousness to include more of the bandwidth of the human experience without becoming jaded, without becoming desensitized, without becoming completely mistrusting and believing only in the worst of humanity. For people who are very sensitive, these things can be felt personally and can be heartbreaking on a human level. But I encourage you, even if your heart is breaking, don't turn away, don't look away. We've got to find the balance between seeing without it tainting and corrupting us and causing us to become depressed, miserable, expecting and seeing only the worst in humanity, and without turning away and ignoring what's happening or putting our blinders on and wanting to believe that things are wonderful when they're not. We've got to find a way to be real about what's happening, but in a very practical way that doesn't cause us to go down. We've got to keep our vibration up. We've got to keep our focus really clear on, again, what it is that we are choosing and what it is that we're moving into going forward. We've got to make sure that our standards don't drop, so that collectively we can unite in something that is actually uplifting and good for humanity. We need the numbers. We need an intensifying energetic focus, because whatever we focus on, we ultimately create. So again, if we're only focusing on the horrors, then we're directing all of our energy towards the horrors. What is in the bushes? And we can accidentally create more of the horrors through our intense focus on the things that are bad and wrong with humanity. So again, we've got to broaden our consciousness, broaden our perception so that, yes, we're acknowledging the worst, but that just encourages us to focus on, to feed, to seed, and to become the best. Because for every extreme, I don't know if you've noticed this outplay on the world stage and through humanity, but as one extreme builds, there is always an opposite and equally as intense extreme heading out in the other direction. So a pendulum is always balanced. You can't just swing out one way without the thing having to swing back the other way. Everything in nature seeks and maintains balance. So for every extreme movement that we set in motion, or that we are strongly encouraged to set into motion, there is always definitely going to be an equally as powerful opposite. So for every action, there is a reaction. And that's why we keep getting more and more extreme in our politics and our views. As the woke increases, so does the strictness and rigidity of its opposite. As that increases, the woke increases. As this religion or this movement becomes corrupt, there is an opposing religion or movement that becomes just as corrupt. And so nature maintains these extremely polarized but balanced extremes. Our goal as a humanity needs to eventually be to come off the extreme pendulum swing and find a unifying and sustainable balance that makes space for all, has space for differences, is tolerant of differences, but is kind of overlighted as an entirety, as a whole, by qualities that we collectively as a humanity agree upon. And that's what our job is now. What are those qualities that actually unite us, bring us together, and that at least the bulk of humanity can agree upon? Can we agree on qualities such as love, unity, respect, kindness, a refusal to cause harm to each other and to the planet? And we've got to get really clear about what that is, what it is that is going to unite us and allow us to move forward together as one people, that aren't on this extreme pendulum swing where we're constantly opposing us, because our spreading out across that enormous pendulum swing in all of these different directions just keeps us apart from each other. It stops us listening to each other. It stops us being tolerant of each other. It robs us of our compassion, of our conscience, of our open-mindedness. And it sets us up in camps that fight and squabble, which keeps us disempowered and keeps us very easy to rule by these ones who would keep us in these separated off camps. So where's our middle ground? Where do we unite? Where do we come together? What are we choosing moving forward? We've got to see it all. This is exactly what's happening. This is exactly what humanity is capable of. But humanity is not just capable of the worst. It is not just the worst that is happening. We've also got the other extreme, which is all the good. And we've got to find a middle ground that brings us closer to the good, so that we're pushing that centered place out more and more, hopefully in the direction of love, unity, tolerance, kindness, peace, wisdom, the things that help us to actually thrive and be empowered. So horrors, yes, be real about it. Let yourself see it, but don't go down with it. Don't let yourself be corrupted or inhibited or divided on that pendulum swing because of what you're seeing and you're witnessing and becoming aware of. Expand your consciousness, but get really clear about what it is that you do stand for and you do choose, and then champion that. Put all of your energy into creating that and finding others to unify with in that. This could be a time for us to settle, or this could be a time for us to rise up together in peace and love and unity and tolerance and kindness, respect, and demand more. And you might feel disempowered, and they want us to believe that we are disempowered, but as the majority, we actually have most of the power. But we've been using our power to stay asleep, to stay unaware, to chase our own comfort, and ignore, which is excusing and allowing, unhuman and unacceptable behavior. We've got to see it. That's the only way we know what we're working with, and that's the only way that we can get clear about what we're choosing moving forward. Don't become like them. Don't get on that pendulum and start opposing and fighting and matching like with like. We've got to find and demonstrate a different way. And make sure you're taking care of yourself. Go for a ride, get outside, drink some fresh juice. sit by a large body of water and stalk some geese.